Oh, look at that little cutie. Oh, look at that cutie. He's so cute. This game is cute, but it's deceptive. Don't think it's just cute and harmless and light and fun and beautiful, because it's all those things, but it is also juicy. There's some real nice mechanics and gameplay in Meadow that I cannot wait to share with you in this 3 things I like about Meadow.
3 things I like about
Meadow.
3 things I like about
Meadow.
3 things I like about
Meadow.
3 things I like about
Meadow.
3 things I like about
Meadow.
3 things I like about
Meadow.
3 things, 3 things, 3.
I have to be honest, there's a whole lot to like about Meadow, but I have narrowed it down to the 3 things I like, and after explaining those, I think you'll get a really good picture of what this game offers players, why it says it's 60 to 90 minutes to play, and if you're interested in jumping into a solitaire version of this as well. So in Meadow, players are observing nature and taking note of all the different plants and landscapes and animals that they see, creating a tableau in front of themselves that essentially is your kind of engine. You've got an engine that you're building all of these different components and cards to. So you can only gather and take note of birds and plants and things and bugs if you've got the right habitat, and then you build on that, and you've got to have these requirements met before you can invite new cards to your tableau. So you're building up this area in front of you, earning victory points and taking all of this information back to the campfire and hopefully gaining some victory points there. But players are actually vying for these particular cards in this main action board area. And that's honestly where my very first thing that I like about this game appears. There is a tableau where you have cards that go down these particular columns, and you can come at them from the top, the bottom, or the side, and you come at them with your workers, and your workers are these little tiles, and they will point in an arrow form, allowing you to kind of insert it into a particular row or column, and with the number on it, you work your way back that many spaces and you take that particular card. So not only are you taking a card from the tableau that someone might want, you're also taking the position, meaning no one can go in that particular row or column again that particular round until you clear the board for the next round. Now that card does get replaced immediately, so there are no gaps in the board, but it might have been a really valuable card, so player turn order can be really important here. Every time it's a player's turn, they will place another one of their action tokens out on this space or by the campfire, thereby doing one thing. And the board starts to get more and more filled, and players are more and more restricted in playing their action tokens. Every player has a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. There's also a question mark action tile in which the player can select any of the other 4 to choose from. So it's really important to strategize where you're placing in what row or column, and what number you're using to select the card, and looking at what the opponents are doing too. What numbers have they used? Where could they possibly go? And what would they want in this main board space? Because that's really where you're going to place the majority of your action tiles. Now, the other place you could play them is by turning them around and not looking at the number, but looking at the action that's on the bottom. And every single one has a different action, and you place that into the campfire, and you get to activate the campfire action. There's a lot to juggle here with your choices. Do you choose to place one of your tiles into the main action board, take a card, and then play a card? That's the only way you get to do that, where you take a card and play a card, is by going in the main action space. Or would you like to play into the campfire area and do one of 4 actions? You can just take one card from the board anywhere, maybe the one you want you can't get to because it's blocked or because you don't have that number anymore. So that tile lets you just take anything, which is great. but only if you save that one. Another one lets you take 2 road tokens, and road tokens allow you to take road cards that give you victory points and really cool stuff, but you can't take those road cards if you don't have road tokens. Another thing you could choose is to take 3 cards from the top of any deck, and it could be any deck, whether it's in play or not, and that means that they could be cards from the first half of the game or the second half of the game, and that's just awesome. You take those 3 cards, you pick one, and then you put the others on the bottom. So you can really find the exact card that you want because it's not in the tableau in the main board. And the last action is just to play 2 cards. So you really need to get cards down, and I did this mostly at the end of the game because I had a lot of cards that I wanted to get out of my hand and into play so I could actually earn the victory points for. So there are 2 sides to these player action tokens, and it's just so cool. It works super well, and you have to strategize. When do I do it? Which one do I choose? Do I play in the main board? Do I play in the campfire zone? What are my opponents doing? And what are they possibly going to do to block me? So there's a lot of player interaction in the center board and in the placement at the campfire. There are only a certain number of spaces at the campfire, and if you can't go there because they're all filled up, you can't go there. And so there's kind of a race to get to the campfire spots as well. The other cool thing you get when you go to the campfire is if you place one of your action tokens there, you can possibly claim a campfire bonus. And that means that you've got what's pictured at the campfire in your tableau. And you just get to place one of your tokens down, and you place with the lowest amount first. And so the number just gives you the victory points. So you start at the low end, which is 2, and you work your way up. And you'll place it between the 2 tokens that you have. So if you have a mushroom and a berry in your player area and you see those 2 side by side, you place your token in between the 2, and only one person can go there. And this actually leads into my second thing that I like. I like that there's a race component or a race feature to get to the campfire. And the only way you can activate campfire is by taking the action token and placing there, and then putting that token down. You have 3 of these tokens, a 2, 3, and a 4, and there's not enough space there for everyone in the game to play their tokens, and the last one is the one that's worth the most. So you really want to be the first person to get your tokens out and to claim those spots because they are covered up. No one else can do a mushroom and a berry combination because I've already taken that position. And so there's just a lot to think about and a lot of ways to get victory points. And that second thing, that campfire component, is fascinating to me. I love the race feature. I love the competitiveness. And I love that everything is public knowledge. It's information. It's open, much like the drafting is open. Players' hands are secret, but players' tableaus are public. You can see, oh, so-and-so is going for this particular combination or this collection to get a road or to get a whatever. And you see someone else is doing something. And so you can look at the campfire tokens, which are placed out randomly every game. You don't know what the combinations are going to be. And some are not even in the game. They don't get placed out because there aren't enough spots for all the tokens. So some games you might not even have a mushroom that's available for you to earn a point for by putting your token down. So it's different every time. The combinations are different, but I really like that race feature. And I love that that's another way to get victory points because it values the campfire board in a very similar way that it values the main board because there are really only 2 boards going on and then everyone's player area. Now, I haven't even talked about the way everyone's tableau and their player area works. That's the third thing I like about this game. It has a fascinating feature of earning particular symbols and victory points, and whatever you can see on your tableau in this row where you add landscapes and you always have to add to either side. You can never sneak things in between cards that you've played, but you just keep a line of them. And you look at the symbols that are available, and if you draw from the center area, the main board, and you pick up a card, add it to your hand, and you want to play any of the cards from your hand down, you have to essentially have the requirements met. And that means you've got those pictured symbols in your tableau. And then not only that, you have to then take the card that needs a requirement and place it in one of the stacks of cards. You're going to start splaying them up. You're going to fan them going up, and you have to cover up one of those cards on the top half. And that means that you're covering up symbols that could help you for future requirements, but you're also gaining other requirements that are on that card. So you're gaining more things, but you're covering up old things. And you have to keep track of what you have available, what symbols you have to have showing, to then grab new cards to play them that covers up old symbols, and so forth. It's just a really fascinating process. And I like, again, that you've got so many balls in the air, so to speak. You have so many things to consider that now you've got all of these cards that you have to keep track of. And if you cover something up, you have to know, I may not get that symbol again. It's not available, or I can't draw it from the stack. Or, you have to really make these hard choices because you're creating and kind of evolving these particular habitats for these, wildlife and these bugs and these creatures that show up in your area. And you kind of get attached. You kind of get like this little cutie, right? You kind of see these creatures and you're like, I want them. I want to observe them and bring them into my little meadow. And I want to have them join my team because they're just cute and you want to look at them. They also give you victory points too. So keep track of the victory points in that leaf symbol. But for me, it's all of those things combined that creates this wonderful medium level, medium weight strategy game with a lovely theme and amazing artwork. So put all of this together. First thing I like is the way you activate your player actions. And each side of their action tile has a different thing on it. And not a single one of them is the same. You either put it in the main board and take a card and then play one from your hand, or you put it into the campfire and you activate the bottom side of it and possibly place a campfire token, thus gaining a unique individual victory point that nobody else can get. And then you've got your player tableau. And you're bringing these cards in because you want to play them out into your area and you want to gain the victory points and really just create this lush environment, this lush ecosystem that really can inhabit all of the creatures that give you the best victory points. It's a smart, tight game that I think requires multiple plays before you can figure out really what's a great strategy based on what's out here. And the game is going to change. The cards shuffle and they come out differently. The tiles that go out in a campfire are going to change every time, and your starting hand is going to be different. So everything is just based off of what you see and what is a possibility for your game. But it is clever, it's beautiful, and moreover, it's just smart. I love the choices in this game, and I love making my own personal tableau with little cuties like this one. So, 3 things I like about Meadow. I will say that the one thing that can be particularly frustrating is when you just can't find the card you need that has the requirement that you need to meet other cards. And so, you might try to draw cards from the top of the deck and still not get it. Anytime a card comes out, somebody else snatches it up before you do. And so there can be a little bit of frustration with having a very specific need that you just can't lock in for some reason, and that can be frustrating. So I hear those players at my table, and myself included, who are just like, oh, all I need is this card and I just can't get it. And then of course when other people know what you want and they might want it too, they'll totally take it because that's the smart thing to do. So there is a little bit of frustration with needing specific cards with those images or those landscapes or those icons and just not getting it, and kind of feeling like your strategy in your game is kind of stunted or halted in some way. And I get it. That's just going to happen perhaps in this game. Play another game and maybe it will not happen. But it's not a deal breaker by any stretch. It doesn't break the game and it doesn't break my appreciation of Meadow. Well, that's all I've got this time. I will see you next time.